Hi, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from Mason Works Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone. Today with Shirley, how do I pronounce your last name? Bolstok?
Bolstok. Uh-huh.
Bolstok. I was close. I did it right.
Yeah, you did good. You did real good.
Yeah, it's a different name. So, you guys, this is a real treat. This is a bonus Conscious Business Zone this
Mhm.
week. We were doing 3, and it's because Shirley contacted me, and I was so excited to introduce her because of this amazing, amazing work that she does, that she calls the 8 activations, which I thought was active with an 8 at the end of it. So Shirley, you grew up in Denver, which
Yes, I
is,
did.
that's amazing in itself.
O-
And you live in
Original Savage. Yes, yes.
so I want everyone to understand about, I mean, you're an intuitive and you're an amazing energy practitioner, but you have discovered this number system that affects people's DNA and affects them on a quantum level. Could you start our conversation about that, and then we'll flesh it out, but could you explain a little bit about the 8 activations for us?
Sure. As you know, Kathy, everything is about language, right? The language we resonate to, the language that affects our lives, the language we speak, and this is language spoken and unspoken, okay? Because as we know, everything is energy, vibration, and frequency. And everything has a longitude and latitude of frequency no matter what it is. And as I discovered that our DNA gets modified to the languages we speak, it gets modified to what we relate to, it takes in the information, and it also carries attitudes and whether it's mental, physical, emotional, all those things come into our bloodlines and they're transferred down through, our generations back to the time of their creation. And we pick up those patterns and we will often live those patterns. And what I also found that if there's any kind of access into the congruency of our DNA, because the DNA must have order and it must have an order in how it reacts and how it behaves and how it takes in information, that if there's a loophole, then the illusion can become very much our reality. And then we can accept through free will maybe things that are not great for us, and we may still keep living patterns from our ancestors that are like a rubber band that just snap back right back at us.
Right.
And so we wonder why we keep having these patterns that we can't seem to get rid of, whether it's abundance or whether it's relationship, whether it's monies. And even though we are very, very powerful people and we are very much our own creators and have our choices to free will, what happens is, what if through free will we are choosing things that are maybe not good for us or reliving patterns over and over again that we can understand why we clear them for a while or we feel pretty good and then suddenly, oh, they're back or things start to return. Not that the 8 activations completely eradicate patterns, but what it gives you the tools that you're no longer accessing through that rubber banding type of activity to where you're just living their patterns. This is why Johnny in Texas, who's been adopted, is just like his real father who lives in New Hampshire.
Right.
And so
Right.
there's
Because
always a
the
synchronicity.
DNA code, because the DNA coding,
Yes, it
right?
is, because they call out to one another. And if you have a very similar pattern, let's say that we know people that seem to have the same issues and relationships over and over, and they're like, wow, I'm never going to do that again. And then they get somebody just like the last one, and they're like,
Oh,
what the,
God.
I swore I was never going to do that again. And here it comes, different face, same.
Oh,
But
yeah.
and I'm like, how did this happen? I found this guy in Paris, France, or I found her in Tokyo, and I got the exact same pattern because it doesn't matter where you are. Energy is all at once in time and space. So you're going to attract what you put out. So what the 8 activations do is they put a congruency back into your DNA, and they also change what you resonate to and what resonates back to you. And it becomes more of about divine manifestation, daily creation according to free will. And you kick out the illusion, and divine manifestation or daily divine manifestation takes its place. So I
Well,
found it, yeah.
wow. Amazing. Well, wait. You're going so fast because I have to say I've experienced it, you guys. I was at a I was really hurting. I was at a show where my hobby is making jewelry. And I was selling my jewelry at a show, and I had just had a unexpected, very unconscious breakup that I was just wounded. And someone had come up to me and asked me, "Hey, how's Ted?" And I lost it at the show because not everyone knew, and I was so wounded. So Shirley comes by my booth and she goes, "Oh, are you okay?" And I was like, "No," because I was sobbing in between trying to sell my jewelry at this public thing. And Shirley did this set of numbers and I was totally clear. And it was like it wasn't like I bypassed the pain. It was a past experience. So wasn't charged. Is that the best way to explain it?
I think that's wonderful. No, I think you're right on.
Oh, it was instantaneous, you guys. She just did this, and I was like, hallelujah. And then I took a class that I couldn't go in person, so it was recorded on anti-aging. And what's amazing is that so much of this stuff sticks. That's how does it work that it stays? If you've been used to, like, it's like a frequency that you're used to toning to, how does it stay?
Oh, it stays because we change your DNA
Okay.
permanently, seriously. And honestly, I could say, Kathy, I had your number.
Yes, you did. But you
Uh,
guys, this is remarkable technology. So I want you to know Matthew James Bailey's here. Hi, Matthew. He says language is so important, spoken,
yes.
unspoken, and energy. Wow. And
He
then
knows. Hmm.
yeah, yeah, he's magical too. Um, we all said together at the start of the universe in words and vibration, let there be light. Then the Big Bang started. That's what he had said. So Matthew, if you have any questions, please bring them on. Okay, so the DNA that I have that may be from my multiple generations, if you help me learn how to shift it, or you shift it for me, what does that do to all my past lives? And because all that's going on all at the same time, what
Yes, it
happens?
is. Okay, I'm going to tell you that these are based on a very simple formula that is the actual foundation of all my activations. And and you're right. Your past lives also shape your DNA because often we will carry patterns from life to life. Because when we go into the next level, we go across the veil after we've ended a life. We will often carry the patterns, kind of like a resonance, and take that resonance with us into the next life. Okay. And then we could get reborn with that resonance following us right in, even before we get into the womb. And then it's already shaping between our generations and the past lives we've had. And of course, people are thinking, oh my God, how am I ever going to get any better? That's what's going on. Because it is a process as we are, learning through each incarnation. We're learning through each experience in our present lives all the time, and we're learning actually great knowledge from our generation. So how do we get the best of all of it? That
Right,
that is really the question.
right.
And so one of the things I want to note, like even in the English language, You got to understand that whatever has consciousness is life force. So as we speak a language over and over and over and over again, we are shaping and creating our DNA. And this is something that I want to put out to those that may be always on their phones, always on their computers, gathering all their information off the internet and not looking outside of this type of information. I will let you know right now that your DNA is modifying to the information you're bringing in. And it's going to modify to basically the electronic God, because electronic frequency does change your DNA. And this is why you're probably seeing kind of a difference in maybe in behaviors as we get into more and more technology. So
Oh,
I'm just letting you guys know, please look outside of your computers, study history, get into books, open those books up. Some folks have never owned a book. Uh, Look at information, whether it's within or without, or even go to a library and start opening the books and train your mind and your DNA to accept information that is not just electronic. It's very
perfect,
essential
perfect.
to your survival.
So
So we will,
Matthew's on here, and he's an AI expert, and
ah,
also magical like you. And he's saying one of the things is love the show, great information. And the other thing he's
mhm.
saying is, how can we help someone that is holding past lifetimes of deep pain that they are struggling to be free from?
There's many ways you can do this, that there is. I'm definitely going to tell you the premise of the 8 activations, and how they really came about, and that will be
Okay,
able to help answer his question. And I will give him
okay,
more than one way to do it. Okay, so what had happened is, have you ever noticed that abductees are very difficult to work with at times? It seems like that they are constantly reverting back to a lot of the same control that's been in their lives. They may be having nightmares, or they're feeling that they are not in control, that there is something else like a taskmaster that seems to be always over them at all times. I had such a person who called me and was very distraught. And at the time I was into like DNA templates. And let me remind you that a Celtic cross is a DNA template.
okay.
And yeah, it is a DNA template. So if you look at a Celtic cross and you have a circle, a square outside of that, and then of course you've got your cross outside of that. You've got, basically your horizontal and your vertical with the square and the circle in the middle.
Uh-huh.
The circle is 0 point frequency. The square is what I call number one, God's source. And on the bottom is what I call form. Okay, form. Anything that is an object in the light creates a shadow, and it has to live in form. And this can be in fear, this can be anger, this could be a judgment, this is anything that keeps you for your divinity. But sometimes we need ritual that, gets in a form that can be helpful to us. Form isn't a bad thing. You just have to recognize that consciousness, in order to be contained, must live in some kind of form. It
I see.
has to.
Okay.
Okay. You go up in the middle, you go into God's source, number one. God is number one. Number one is the ultimate mutable number. Number one is God I am, because God is in everything and God is in us. And so our soul mapping basically looks like if you were to look at it through numbers, it looks like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and just goes on
Okay.
infinitely, because we are divine creation and we have a right to that creation. In the middle, and then you get your circle, which I call 0 point. That's a vacuum. Basically, it's a vacuum. It runs both directions, and the 0 point is the divine finger of God, something 0 point frequency that goes back into nothingness, where you can rebuild all things, is actually God. Now, that's the divine finger of God. This is our point of creation. Now, we go up and we go into the ascension, right? And what I call ascension, this is fluid. This is things without form. This is love. Love is fluid. It permeates all things. Love is everywhere. Love is able to get into all. It's the universal truth. Love truly is the answer. This is the language of the God I am. Now,
Okay.
okay, now on both sides of this, we have negative, positive timelines. This is where we live our timelines, whether, they're negative or positive, and records are on that horizontal line, right? Are you there, Kathy?
Yes, the internet seems to be wonky. But keep going.
Welcome
Sorry.
to Mercury retrograde.
Yeah, I don't think the internet just, at one point you went totally black. So, and now you're back.
Oh, wow.
But okay, so you were just
Let's keep going.
yeah.
Let's keep going.
Oh
Well,
okay.
sometimes the energy can be really interesting. So let's keep going. Hey, maybe you saw me in the etheric. Okay, here we go. This is my form here. What you saw wasn't that form. Okay, let's just keep going here. So we're on horizontal now. Okay, we're on horizontal. Okay, let's talk about horizontal. That's the negative positive timelines, and that's our experiences. So basically, if you take something out of form, right? Let's say generational patterns, these kind of things, you take them out of form, you bring them into God's source, you spin them out from divine creation, you go in to ascension, and you create from the ether something fluid, something new that you wish to bring in, bring it back down through God's source, you spin it, and then you bring it out into negative positive timeline, and then your experience has changed, okay? So, so when you've got this going on, that's one way to help change a DNA by using this divine template, okay? So let's go into how the number 8 activations work and what I discovered.
Okay.
So what had happened is we were using these kind of templates. I was using everything I knew and had, and he was great for about, I don't know, 3 weeks. And then I saw something unusual. I saw like a holographic body of information enter him. And it looked like a soul mapping. It's like somebody had done a complete blueprint of holographic information. It went into him physically, and then he reverted completely physically back to where he was.
Wow.
So I had, at that point, what you call a spiritual tantrum. These are allowed, people. You can have tantrum. And, running around with your hands up in the air and going, what was that? Okay. Yeah, you are entitled to do this. Okay. And that's pretty much what I did. I could not believe it.
So,
And then
Shirley,
when it's...
could you stop a second? I'm afraid something's happened because it looked. So thank you all. I apologize for this inconvenience. Whatever this energy is, it totally shut down and froze my computer. And we're getting Shirley back on right now. And when I edit this, when I put it up to YouTube, I'll edit it. But hopefully Shirley standing by. Okay, coming back on. Okay, so good thing we've got phones and okay, so we're going to add you here. Well, whatever you did, it was strong.
Kathy, I hate to say it, this is not the first time that's happened.
Oh, I know. I had to unplug my computer. So we're live right now. I'm going to have to edit out the part that my false message. Well, no, that was Shirley's energy. That wasn't any retrograde. You got to understand, you guys. That's why I jumped on the opportunity as soon as she said that she'd be on. I just added an extra show. So, but anyway, so hopefully I'll edit out that section. But my machine was so clogged, I had to unplug it. It was black. I sent you a picture. It's black screen. I've never seen blue screen. I've seen. So let's see. What are we going to do next? Okay. Please Anyway, I want you to work on me for sure. So before Dave Rivera is here, and she's wonderful, it's a magical being. Elizabeth
Okay.
Lindsay was here,
I
and
love Lynn.
Matthew was
She's
here.
wonderful. I
Yeah.
would recommend her to anybody. Her angel readings, her readings are wonderful. Please, yeah,
Oh, cool. That's
wonderful.
cool.
Yes.
Okay, so Shirley, we're going to go back to all this. I apologize to anyone who just sat through the 10 minutes that I couldn't get on. That you guys were here, but we weren't.
We were putting new bodies of information in. We were getting new holograms of information into your bodies when it was blacked out.
Yeah. And I welcome this. And you guys, the benefit of all this is not only does Shirley do one-on-ones, and we'll give you a way for you to connect with her so you can have this magical work done, so you don't have to repeat these painful patterns that you have in your whole life, in your whole storyline. You don't have to have those anymore. You can do anti-aging work, and she also teaches this,
Yes.
which
Yeah, I do.
that's what I really want to do, because it's alchemy. So
Yes, it is.
so back to, and I apologize again, Shirley, to disrupt this. That's just the way it would happen. That's never happened before, of course.
Well, I'm shocked.
Oh yeah. Well, other things happen, just not that.
You know, what's interesting is I was doing a Facebook Live and I was doing a group event and the whole thing blew out. Literally, they lost all connection and things kind of went all over. When I saw the pictures later of the event, um, everybody's pictures were clear and wonderful. And when they got to mine, it looked like I had a jigsaw puzzle with a piece missing. I
Because your
mean,
energy
yeah,
scrambled it.
it was all blurred out. It was all blurred out and with little spots all over, and that happens quite a bit to me. Another thing that happens a lot of times, you'll see a white, kind of like a white light over my face, like this spotlight that kind of just covers my face. And I had a friend that kept taking picture after picture. It was on a regular camera, and this just kept happening. She could not understand it. She took it on her cell phone, and it was clear. And then she went back to her camera, and there it was, this white light.
Oh, so it captured that probably the light, your light body.
That or I've arranged to have an esoteric spotlight when needed.
Okay. Well, I want one of those. Okay, well,
Yeah, that's a great thing to market. No, I actually didn't understand it, and a lot of my pictures do blur out. But hey, let's get back to business here and talk some more.
okay. So basically, what I'd love to do is have people understand how you
Sure.
can help them, the changes you've seen when you've worked with people, how you could help them,
Sure.
and if you're going to do a class, when that is, any of that.
Okay. I do post my events on my Facebook page, and of course you could find that on um, my name, Shirley Bolstok, of course, comes up on my Facebook. My website is a bit under construction, but I plan to have all my events and all my shows and that type of
Okay.
thing on that. And that is called Activate, ACTIV, the number 8, you know, TE. So what happens is, so yeah, it's like activate. So instead of the 8, there's a number 8 in there, and it ends with an E. I think somebody else has the one without the E, and I hope to have that up within the month,
So is
actually.
it's ACT, I'm trying to write it for everybody.
It,
Activate with an E and then the 8?
it's a ACTIV number 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and let's see.
Okay. I'll put it up here.
And then at a TE, I believe. Yes. I'll if I'm wrong, I'll make sure you get that correct.
Okay.
But that's just that's about to get loaded up with a bunch of stuff. So, but my Facebook is probably the best place, and I do post in different groups, that type of thing.
It won't let me type even. Whatever we're doing. There we go.
All right.
Now, wow,
Okay.
that was weird. Okay, good. Still didn't.
Yeah, and I'll warn you that T might not be in there. I have to recheck it, but I'm pretty sure that um, it may be that T may be missing. So if that
Oh,
doesn't work,
that's right.
try it without the T. Yeah,
That's
we were
right.
just
So the activate stands for the 8 activations. And tell us about 8 activations because from what I've seen, it looks like you have a lot more than 8.
yes, I
Uh,
do.
yeah.
It works with the number 1, the number 8, and the divine 72. So we got the number 1, I am.
Okay.
This is, we bring all numbers back into the number 1, I am, okay? Because that is
Okay.
all soul mapping. The number 8 is the missing component that we put back in. And then the divine 72 is the way we put it back in. So you may want to turn your phones sideways, or if you have a calculator, I'm going to show you something interesting. Okay. Now, after I had my spiritual tantrum, I got a voice that told me, well, there's access. I'm like, how's that possible if we have divine will and we have the right to our own divine manifestation? How is that possible that a holographic body of information would change somebody else's body out physically?
Okay.
Which made me think that maybe if somebody was really angry at somebody to send them a nasty esoteric hologram, would a person receive that and attaching to maybe a pattern that they even have in their DNA, and then it would activate that? It was kind of a concern. But I know that there are many psychic senses that we can use. But in this case, the number 8 represents divine manifestation and daily divine manifestation, also the infinity. And I would like to point out that the 0, which is a vacuum, okay, and it goes to the left and to the right at the same time. That's why it's a vacuum. That's where the spin is. If you twist it, you got a number 8. Think about it. That's why they call it. That's why they call it infinity. So you know that in the Tesla experience, that tells us that the 3, 6, and 9s are our frequency in our lives. Number 3s particularly, those are the trines, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, and they go on with the trines that are a connection of the triangle that are very, very important patterns in our lives. Very important. And with these 3, 6, and 9s, they also go back into the number 1, because if you use a mathematical equation with the number 1, they all go back in. So here's the thing. Why did I hear the 8 is missing? It was very, very profound.
Okay.
So when you get on your calculators.
I got it here so I can demonstrate for you.
Excellent, excellent. Okay.
I'm your assistant on this program.
Okay. Absolutely. We need the visual.
I do.
Yeah. So here's the deal. Okay. The individuals definitely help. The number 9. 9 plus 9 plus 9, 9 plus 9 is 18. 1 plus 8 equals 9. 18 plus 9 equals 27. 2 plus 7 equals 9. And this goes on and on and on and on, right? This is a very important gematria pattern that repeats over and over again, that represents the end of cycles in our lives and the beginning of cycles. So, these 9s are very, very important into what we live. And of course, as we know, these are endless timeless loops that also affect us and affect our DNA and our numerical sequence.
Okay.
Now, there are some numerical sequences that do not include the 0, but understand that a -1, or what's between a -1 and 1, it's still number 1, and the 0 still exists in between.
Okay.
So, all right, are we ready? Okay, 1 divided by 9. Okay, Kathy, and what are you getting there?
Dot 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1.
How about that? Okay, that is our soul mapping. The God I
Okay.
am, the God of love, not the narcissistic God that has favorites and either you believe this or you're going to get zapped with a piece of lightning. It's just, I mean, a true God of love Tabasco sauce in your coffee. You said what? You know, God of love, the God of unconditional love that's within all of us that we're capable of. Co-creation with the God within us.
Okay.
Co-creation in knowing God, right? Having a relationship with God.
Right.
Wonderful. Why don't you divide that by 9 again?
Wow, this is wild.
So, Kathy, what do you have there?
Well, it put the 8 in. Oh, it took out the 7.
Oh, is your deal sideways? Turn your phone sideways, Kathy.
Let's see if it'll do it sideways.
It should.
It's an app. Anyway, the way we did it before, it was missing the 8, right? Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's showing. It's not showing the 7.
Uh-huh. Okay. It's rounding because it didn't give you enough. Okay, what usually happens is, and most of you are probably seeing this on your calculator, you'll get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9.
9,
Is
right?
yeah, yeah, this is what should happen. And let me see if I can get it on my calculator.
Yeah,
I can
sorry
bring it
about
up.
that. It won't turn. So it's an app on my.
It's all right. It's all right. I'm going to do it on my own phone here. And let me get into,
Figure out a
because
way to do it on the
it's
computer
all
and
right.
do it.
Oh, no, I'll show it right here.
Oh, good.
1 divided by 9 equals, okay, 1 divided by 9 equals, let me get it. Okay, do you see these number ones? Let's see.
Up higher, higher. Yes, so I got the ones. Yes,
Okay,
dear. Perfect.
okay, I'm going to divide this by 9. Okay, do you see that?
Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No 8, 9, and then it starts again.
Right, without the 8, right?
Right.
We got a little problem here. Because this all goes back into the number 1, our soul mapping. Very, very clever, that the DNA has to relate in some kind of numerical sequence. Has
Right.
to. And whether bad guys put a false loop between the 7 and the 9 that had a hand in our DNA, that basically what it did was create what I call a chain link of an illusion between the 7 and the 9. And the DNA needs congruency. To what we relate, we need congruency in our language because these are languages spoken and unspoken, right?
Right.
So whether bad guy put a false link or it automatically happened where an illusion or a false link was created between that 7 and the 9. In this case, it created a point of access where we can accept the illusion as our reality
Right.
because
Right. Well,
it
that's
resonates
what's messing us
back
all
into our
up.
soul mapping.
Okay, so how do you put it back in?
Well, the Divine 72, because that was my next question after I was shown this. And prior to this, I was doing 1 divided by 9s and being completely mesmerized. People, I was saucer-eyed and people thought, what is wrong with this person? Like, God, do you see that? Isn't that like really amazing? And they're like, are you out of your mind? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, well, now I am in a good
Yeah,
way.
and out of my body. So we have to use the Divine 72. That is the way to put this back in. So I'm going to show you a couple things. Now, 7 plus 2 equals 9, and it's also a great mutable number. We understand the 72 names of God. A lot of our crop circles are coming in with the number 72. It's an extremely important number in our lives, okay? It's a
Okay.
divine number. I am going to times this by 72. And it's going to round to 9 at the end, but let me show you what this looks like, okay? Do you see that?
Yeah, 888888889. Like
Yeah.
a million eights.
Ignore the 9. Okay.
Yeah, great. You got it. 888.
Yeah,
Infinity,
8888.
infinity.
Well, okay, that's one way that's showing, because you have to have a mutable of the 8 and 9 to put it back in the ones, okay? Now, 72 divided by 9 equals 8, right? 8, 8, see this? Yeah. 72
Yeah,
divided by 9,
yeah,
8.
yeah.
Right there is your mutable of 8 and 9. Now, I am going to divide this by 72. And I
8
want to
by
see
divided by 72.
72. Yes.
Okay.
And guess what you
Oh, and
get?
get back to the ones. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Get back to the I am.
You got it. Now we can put the 8 back into its divine sequence. It takes its proper place immediately. And once it does that, it fully integrates into your DNA because it is the proper sequence. You get the illusion kicks out immediately. Divine manifestation shows up. And you are now into your co-creation with the I am in its divine order.
Let's do it. I wish I don't know how many people are on right now. Darn, because of my faux pas here.
Well,
But
they'll access it later, too.
okay, okay, yeah,
And
because
they'll get it. So
yeah,
how about that? Okay. So
yeah,
everything I use are true mathematical equations, and they became very expanded because a lot of them are. I will put them up against Solfeggio codes. I will use them against the speed of light, the speed of sound, uh, the the equation of the violet flame at transmutation. The Solfeggio codes, of course, are like 1122, 528,
right,
these type of things.
right.
And they will even get me on a tangent or a sine calculator to figure some of these out. I have gone on sites where it's like I'm building an octagonal building, and then I will
Uh-huh.
expand them out by these equations of the number 8 octagonal on all sides, and all those numerical sequences go in. So when you've got equations that are calling out to other equations using this base formula, what happens then, Kathy, is you have almost like, and I don't want to call it a spell, but it's actually a connected mathematical sequences of equations that all work together that actually create a change in the DNA, a change in the programming, and a lot of them are programmed for particular things. I'm going to do a 0 rate to help your people, and it's
Okay.
going to be very, very, very general because we don't know exactly what has occurred in their past. So please understand if I call something out, this has nothing to do with what may or may not have happened in your generations or you or even in past lives. We're just going to
Okay.
cover all bases.
Okay. You're
Uh,
welcome to do whatever you want with me. I
well,
want to know, but I do have a question before you start. Okay, so the numerical changes the DNA, which is manifesting the hologram of Kathy in
mhm.
Kathy's world right now, and well, your hologram. What happens to the emotions? Because that's what it was like when you
Oh,
did that with me. How does that negate or release the negative emotions?
Kathy, that's a very good question because emotions are principalities in themselves, and the emotional bodies are programmed within the DNA. Have you ever
Uh,
sat there and you're being calm about something, but something inside you is going, you're like, what the, well, who pushed that button and why is this happening? Also, I do want to add that I couldn't wait to call this gentleman back up. We did the codes. He called me 3 weeks later, and I just sat there with anticipation. It never happened to him again. Never. He was never accessed again. So I do want to let you know that was a confirmation for me, and he was able to get back into his own creation.
Wow.
because the holographic body did go back out, and he transmuted it that time. It didn't
Wow.
transmute him. And I saw it happen. I could see it in the esoteric. So let's talk about emotional bodies. Most of what runs us is our emotional bodies. Definitely what happens with patterns that are in our DNA, we react emotionally. We react in some way or another. So it's kind of a chain reaction. This is why when you've got equations calling out to one another, they're also affecting the emotional bodies. Now, I have had something happen sometimes when I've done the codes where something might get right in somebody's face and they're like, what's that? It's because it needs to be cleared, and you could clear it a lot easier. That does happen. Okay. I would love to make this a bliss pill, but it's not always like that. What this is a tool. It's a tool to help you manifest truly what the God I am in a much better, profound way.
Okay.
And it gives you a very nice base foundation. So what happens to the emotional bodies is they also, if your reaction is changing, if the pattern is changing, it's also going to change the emotional reaction. It's
I
chain
see.
links. Yeah.
But it seemed like it was permanent, but there were might have been layers for me.
There are always layers. See, what we've got are tools. So what you were able to do was you were able to feel the change. You were able to feel the change. So when something came back or came back up, I mean, we're human. We're not robots. We're not iRobots. We're going to feel things. You felt real, true emotion. You reacted. This doesn't eradicate emotions. What it does is help you handle them. That's what
I
it
see.
does. Yeah.
Okay.
So when you react and it's, oh God, that hurt, and I didn't feel very good. At least you're able to get back into a divine creation where you could get with the God I am, get with a healer and say, this is terrible. I want to get rid of this again, but it's going to be a heck of a lot easier for you than if you're accessing the illusion instead of your divine manifestation.
I see. I see. Okay. So we get back to, it's not even 0 point really. It's God, your God self.
Yes,
Your God self.
and
Right?
we're still running our contracts. We're still meeting people, but why have the same pattern that gets us over and over and over again where other things control us that where we can't even get to what our plan is, So definitely you're going to have emotions, but you understand that electronic frequencies also can enhance emotions. They've done studies where they've sent electronic frequencies and they can produce anger, or they can produce a feeling of love or
Right.
oxytocins. And this is why I'm saying be careful of the electronic information you're bringing in, because it
Right.
can produce emotional reactions that
Right.
may not be necessarily your own. So,
Right.
but you're a lot better further away than if you are in a place that you may be able to transmute that or take a look at it. But of course, traumas are going to happen. We still are dealing with things that are within our own divinity that we are trying to clear in our own contracts that we're trying to get through. But isn't it nicer when you could get back to your true divine manifestation instead of instead of, you know, having to do this thing through the illusion. The other thing is I do custom I am attunements. I do have numbers that go up from all the way from 33 to the 132 at this point. We will get to the 144. Now, before I could do a custom I am attunement, what happens is uh, they all resonate differently, the custom I am attunements, but I had to hold that frequency within me in order to do those for others. Now, this
Okay.
technology comes in galactically. It does come in through the galactic fleets, and they're the ones bringing these activations. They're the ones who brought it to me, and they actually activate. They activate things.
Okay.
So
So,
let's.
and then could you tell the story of how you discovered it? I mean, was it that you had trauma and they helped you with it, and that's how you
Well,
gifted this?
one of the things that I find that is the most difficult when you come to DNA patterns is if you've had a history of genocide in your family.
Uh,
Very tough, or even a history of slavery. Okay. And it can create a shadow, and you can literally pick up your ancestors' memories. You can
Okay.
pick up your ancestry's emotions. And this is why people are like yelling, get over it, get over it. But for some reason, you're not getting over it. Oh, you got a chip on your shoulder. No, they actually can't escape that shadow.
I
It's
see.
really tough.
Yeah.
And I see this in, of course, a lot of ethnic groups. That's the first thing I usually go after. And the reason I went and embraced these codes is because my parents were Holocaust survivors, and they had a very difficult DNA genetic history.
Right. Right.
And I
Right.
noticed things that I was taking on their patterns myself. Now, people are like, well, can't you just like live your own life and get over it? I don't think I understood what was coming in.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Right.
so, but what it came to me is these codes were a great way to change genetic history. Now, almost every race, religion has gone through some kind of inquisition or
Right.
some kind of genetic thing. The gypsies, not just Jewish, not just black, not just American Indian, but, the gypsies, um, the pacifists, your sexual preferences. I think that there's probably some kind of persecution in everyone's background.
Right. Right.
It's not
Right.
it's not just ethnic groups. The Irish got it when they came to the United States. Blah blah blah. It just keeps going on,
Right. Right.
and but when you've also got famine back in your family line history, then you might have a very fierce starvation. You might find yourself hoarding food and you won't even know why, or overeating. Oh my God, I gotta, you know, why is it that I'm so afraid I'm not going to have food? Or you get that kind of starvation, or worse yet, things keep happening to cause a problem in your abundance because your ancestors starved. You'd be amazed how much of this affects us.
Wow. Yeah.
It is huge. And I've been trying to decide what I'm also going to do for your folks. Now, I talked about the electronic God, and I would like to do something called an 8192 activation for your people as well.
Okay.
And let me tell you why I want to do this one.
Okay.
Okay, now you understand that that, at this point, and please know that there are very good people at CERN. I'm not blaming a collider in any way. But they do have CERN resonating at 8,192 qubits, smashing up to find that guard particle. That's actually twice the limit of 4,096.
Okay.
It's kind of a problem. And
Okay.
if you've been noticing a little problem with timelines these days,
Yeah. Well, I think, aren't they merging? A lot of them
uh,
are merging.
well, I wouldn't exactly say merging. I think they're transmuting. They are changing. Now, okay, timelines. Let me show you something that you might find a little interesting. I'm going to put a little mark on my 8192 here. And I might do a very, very quick, brief type of number 8 I am attunement for your people. It's not the full gamut, but it's enough to at least hope that we could get a number 8 into your people to get them started. But I would
Okay.
highly suggest coming to see me for your custom attunement, okay? Um, so I am going to show you something very interesting. And let me get this thing up. Let me show you something, Kathy. You see this?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That is a grid. And do you notice how there's 8 parts in each one? This was given to me. It's a number 8 grid.
Yeah.
8 spaces inside, 8 spaces outside. And you see all those lines crossing over each other. And if I turn
Yes.
this, it looks the same way now, doesn't it? Right?
Yeah.
I got news. Those are all timelines. They are not perpendicular to each other. They're constantly accessing each other, and you can, at access points, you can change timelines. Now, when you change consciousness or mass consciousness change, a timeline will change. There's no ifs, ands, or about it. A timeline is going to change.
Well, since we're all one, and if you edit my DNA, doesn't that edit
It,
my whole?
well, it changes your timeline. to make it harmoniously in the mass timeline in the case. And by changing your own timeline within yourself, it changes your consciousness. Then you start resonating to different things within that timeline because, let's be honest, consciousness is, once that starts ascending or gets greater, then our chances are of having the divine matrix of a higher enlightenment take
Right.
over more of what we call the darker, maybe the more negative consciousness of control becomes greater, and then that consciousness starts changing, and and it's very possible that can absolutely even change a full timeline. But what was happening when you've got a collider with the guard particle, timelines can also change because you've got something that knows itself as God, and naturally it's going to want to create children, and it's going to want to survive, and
Oh,
timelines will
wow.
be created in order for it
Well,
to
do you think
exist.
they know what they're doing at CERN, or do you feel like it's
I think there's very good people at CERN. I think a lot of what they know is what they're doing. In this case, I do question why they would want to run a God particle at 8,192.
okay?
But I went ahead and this rate has been downloaded into the collider, so maybe it will help so they could get the information they need without it causing catastrophic problems, is what I'm
Okay.
hoping.
Okay.
But one of the reasons why I want to read this 8192 qubit activation for your people is, or put it on a broadcast, is because really helps you gather up your electronic information in a much better way. In other words, what can happen is the DNA has to be brought back into the God I am, so the information you receive, instead of going out and just accessing all this stuff and modifying your DNA to to relate to the information as God, and next thing you know, you can't get away from your phone, you can't get away from the information, and you don't know who won the Civil War, and you don't know history, and you're taking on all the properties of the information received. And I will challenge that those of you using a lot of abbreviations, your DNA is modifying to that as a language of consciousness. Um, may I
Oh, wow.
encourage you, when you can, to please spell everything out at
Okay.
times. Maybe not, you can't do this texting, but write it out otherwise.
Right.
Um, yeah, write out, oh my God, write out, these kind of things, because you're actually modifying your information and how it's
Wow.
coming
That's
through.
interesting too.
Yeah, yeah. Also, if I know that they don't create cursive anymore, and or they don't offer it as much, and because the computers don't come up in cursive, learn it. I don't care what you're doing, learn it. It is a flow of energy, and I take a course. Otherwise, there are historical documents that date back thousands of years you won't be able to read.
I see. Because it changes your brain functioning.
Well, it does. You will not be able to gather the form of the cursive unless it's in print. And this is how the brain works at the DNA. So I highly suggest you learn cursive, even if it's not being taught in your school, or, you haven't, had a need for it. Write in cursive when you can, please.
Okay.
And if you haven't done it, then learn it.
Okay.
This is a language thing. So the 8192 that I will read for your folks are, it's one full equation, one full true mathematical equation. But what I am going to do first is I'm going to get into a 0 point where I could like to clear some things. I'm actually going to do just one very quick sentence of something, getting back into what I would call a frequency of what I would call the number 8.
Okay.
Of course, my phone's ringing. That's frequency, and we will. It never fails, and it's probably spam, of course. So,
Well,
what we'll
well,
do.
this is you guys get ready because you don't be afraid to get ready, but you may not feel that much, but you will benefit,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All righty then. Okay. But I have lots and lots of stuff in this this notebook. Oh my God, we have got them for everything you can think of. They have given me so much information. But here we go. I'm first going to start out, I'm going to do some zero rates, or, just some clearing maybe back through your generations. It'll be mostly through your generations at this point. When you come to see me, we're going to go into past lives and something much far more custom.
Okay.
And then we'll do a far more involved custom I am attunement that I have. Okay?
Okay.
Maya Warren, Kathy, that these are eye color changers. I have had a lot of people tell me their eyes changed. So, and if yours don't think that you didn't that you didn't that you didn't what I was saying, that
You have
you
an
didn't
experience.
receive. Yeah, that you didn't receive it, because you
Yes.
certainly
So,
did. Yeah.
so for those of you that have dark brown eyes like I do, sometimes people's eyes get a lot lighter and they get a bluish circle around your iris.
That's right. That
Right?
does happen. But I've turned many people from green to blue. It has happened. Some people get cat eyes. Some people get,
That would be
they get like stars in their eyes. Usually the rim does get darker. A lot of brown eyes do get the blue rims. I did have one gentleman recently that his eyes went from brown to baby blue, literally.
wow, that would be cool.
Well, he was such a beautiful soul. I mean, but I asked him, my lights were a little dim that day when I was doing the reading, and I said, oh, what color are your eyes? And he says, brown. I said, really? And he says, even my driver's license says brown. He showed it to me. Well, I believed him. I'm trying to remember if he showed it to me, but they said brown. When he walked out into the light, he had baby blue eyes.
Did it stay?
Oh, I'm sure it did.
Okay, well, you guys, just so you know, I put Shirley's email. She doesn't have a website right now. You can reach her on Facebook or through this email, which is poet444@gmail.com if you want a personal appointment or if you want to find out about how you can learn more about this because you want to. You're going to want to.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Let's go on for it. Get ready. Okay.
Okay.
And this is a real mathematical equation as well. Okay, 8 divided by 9 equals 888, 888, 888, divided by 9 equals 976543320. Skipping the AM, going into 0 point frequency, and we're neutralizing infinite number of generations, mother and father's line for the divine being listening now. We are neutralizing all narcissistic consciousness attached to emotional abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, religious abuse, ethereal abuse, infinite number of generations. Now, divided by 8 equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. Divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 equals 0.111111111. Now, doing a quick I am attunement. I'll just use the number 33. 33, 1 divided by 9 equals 111111111 divided by 9 equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. We'll put the 8 back in. 33 plus 11 equals 44. 4 plus 4 equals 8 times 9 is 72 divided by 3 equals 24. 2 plus 4 equals 6 times 12 equals 72 minus 6 equals 66. 6 plus 6 equals 12 times 3 equals 32 minus 3 equals 33. 3 plus 3 equals 6 times 6 is 36. Plus 3 equals 39. 3 plus 9 equals 12 times 6 equals 72. 7 plus 2 equals 9 times 8 equals 72 divided by 9 equals 8 divided by 72 equals 1111111. Integrate and activate. I am 33 attunement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33 to the power of 3. Now, I'll do a quick tone. E. All right, so now that's enough to get that ache started. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Definitely, these I am attunements are very powerful, but the 33 that I do for clients is far much longer than that. But that at least gets you a good start. So now we want to, well, I think, let's see, do they want me to do the Lemurian? And of course, I just lost my pace on the, and they may be wanting me to do a Lemurian removal as well. And I think I'd still like to do this 8192.
So while you're doing that, can you do two things at once? If you're a woman, so you might be able to. um, um, when you talk about the fleet, the galactic fleet,
Uh-huh.
do you know what their origin is, or is it like a federation of different beings?
It's not just one galactic fleet. Okay, we do have our commander carry the galactic fleets, but it's not just his fleets. These are fleets coming in from all over the Pleiades, the Arcturians, even the mantis, even the felines. They kind of show up according to who I'm working on, and it's mostly their roots is what it is that often show up.
Oh, I see.
These come in interdimensionally, past, present, and future. In other words, they could be bringing in these activations light years away in the future back to us.
Wow.
See, this is one nice thing about this technology is they are able to bring in these activations from anywhere, whether it's past or whether it's future or whether it's present. And
Well,
it
they
comes
don't
in
have time
multiple.
necessarily, right? They
Yeah.
don't necessarily come from time.
No, they don't. But what if they said, we need a way to be able to change the consciousness so the future is better? Okay.
Right.
This could be very much what's going on. Many of us feel like we're in deja vu, that we're from the future, that we're here to help create the new earth, that this is what's going on. And this creates a better way to do that. So, but yeah,
Okay,
multiple.
thanks for that explanation.
Yes. And we are actually, putting in these activations in all time frames and dimensions, past, present, future, all direct and parallel lives, alternate direct and parallel timelines, alternate direct and parallel universes, in all bodies, spiritual, mental, physical, emotional, ethereal, and all translucent bodies, in the glorious name of the God that I am, the exalted God Most High. And we do thank you. We thank you. We thank you. So this is where they're going. So are we ready for the 8192?
Yeah, whatever you want to give us, that's what we're ready for. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Really.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go for it. 8192, a cubic activation to restore God consciousness, DNA over modified AI DNA. 1. 1 times 2 equals 2, times 2 equals 4, times 2 equals 8. Times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32, times 2 is 64, times 2 is 128, times 2 is 256, times 2 is 512, times 2 is 1024, times 2 equals 2048, times 2 equals 4096, times 2 equals 8192 divided by 6. And because it has 6 colliders, 6 sides to the collider, we divide by 6. 1365.333 divided by 6 equals 227.555 divided by 6 equals 37.925 divided by 6 equals 6.3209876543299 divided by 6 equals 0.790123456790 divided by 8 equals 0.098765432098765 divided by 8 equals 0.012345679012345 divided by 8 equals 0.00154320987654321 divided by 8 equals 0.00019290123456790 divided by 72 equals 0.0138888888889 divided by 72 equals 1 point. 1 times 2 equals 2, times 8 equals 16, times 8 equals 128, times 8 equals 1024, times 8 equals 8,192 divided by 2 equals 4,096 divided by 2 equals 2,048 divided by 2 equals 1,024 divided by 2 equals 512 divided by 2 equals 256 divided by 2 equals 128 divided by 2 equals 64 divided by 2 equals 32 divided by 2 equals 16 divided by 2 equals 8 divided by 2 equals 4 divided by 2 equals 2 divided by 2 equals 1. Integrate, activate, accelerate now. Now. There we go.
Wow. My third eye is going a little crazy. When you first started, I felt like almost like hands behind me on my shoulders,
Wow.
cradling me. I don't know if that was energy releasing,
It
but
could have been. Definitely could have been. I'm feeling the reaction from some of your people. I'm actually getting it over here. So that's pretty interesting what we got going. And we're going to thank Commander Clay K for these great. Ashtar Command is also involved. You've got the Syrian fleets involved, the Arcturians. I mean, they're all in there. So please know. But it was actually a commander that brought me these 8 activations. So if you see some interesting lights over your home, you might wonder what that is. You know, when I was coming...
I work with the Arcturians anyway.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, I was coming home. I do the Star Knowledge conferences, incredible people there. And I would always encourage you to go see them whenever they come in with Chief Golden Light Eagle, you know, Jennifer, and some amazing people that they have, great speakers. But I've had the honor of being able to speak with them. And I've had the honor of being able to do some workshops, that type of thing. And I was on my way home from one of those events. I do believe it was, I think it was 2016, maybe, this was happening. And I had 2 other folks in the car. I was actually in the back seat. And we were talking about the events and speaking about them. And we were getting a, you know, kind of a rush energy. And then we brought up the fleets. Just brought them up. And we saw a light just kind of shine in the sky, and suddenly the whole sky, everything lit up with lights, just lit up. And they were going everywhere, and we didn't know if we had a meteor shower or what the heck was going on. But as we looked up above them, there were ships that were started flying over the car. I mean, you could actually see the green and white lights, and, you know, and some of them were triangle ships, some of them, you know, were around, and we were
Did you
just...
go up in it?
What's that? No, we didn't go up in it. We didn't get a ticket on Evite. We were driving. We were honestly driving. We were just seeing these. It just lit up. And I remember we asked, you know, if this is this you, show us a sign. They were going into square formations and circles. We had a number 8 appear in its formation to kind of confirm that these were the number 8 activations. And every time we cheered, we get these gold lights that would shine into the car.
Really?
So, you know, we keep cheering every time we get all kinds of cool stuff going on. And this lasted a little while, and then they just all went.
Oh, the reason why I asked if you got to go up is that I've been asked that before when I've said that I work with the Arcturians or something. It's like, have you been on the ships? Like, no, not that I remember.
Well, you might have. I think a lot of us go up on ships in the evenings, or, you know, when we're sleeping. Now, if we could bring the T-shirt back, I think that would be fair, don't you?
Which T-shirt?
On the ship.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah. We should get the T-shirt.
T-shirt, hat, button, sticker.
Yeah, I was on Planet X, those kind of things. I think, I
You
mean,
could get
it's
an
definite
award
proof.
from my
And
Oh,
I do a lot of events. I do a lot of events with a lot of different people who are equally as amazing. Of course, I've done events with Garrett Duncan. I've done events with Susan Russo, Gail Fowler, and many others that I just find incredible. So these events, we do put them out, and you're able to zoom in also if you can't make it physically. So for you out of state people outside of Colorado, you could definitely come into these events. I did have the Crystal Skulls ask me for these activations, and I did send it to them. And after that, we are also bringing in new crystal skulls into our
really?
dimension.
I got to
So,
see Max the Crystal Skulls.
uh-huh.
Do you know him? I got to
Yeah.
meet with him. He's amazing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that consciousness infiltrates a lot of the crystal skulls we even own. So
Right.
some different ones have been coming in from different universes. Also, I am a reader at Full Moon Books on Sundays. You could certainly, for the locals, you could certainly call. And
So when you do readings, do you also do the numbers work, or do you just do
I
cards?
do everything. No, I do it all. And of course, I do receive phone calls from out of state. I can do Skype. I can do, audio, Skype. Sometimes we do messenger, video or audio. And this way I'm able to do all over the world. I'm able to bring these activations to everyone outside in the world.
It's
Um,
wonderful.
I am. My student is in Canada. She's doing an outstanding job. And her name is, she's Tina Thomas, and she's also learning these activations. And I'll tell you, she is a powerhouse. So she's incredible. So I got to tell you that anyone I've ever worked with or anyone I have had the honor of doing events with, working with, connecting with, I'm just blown away by the divinity in each and every one. Every client that comes to me, um, their divinity, that's the first thing I see is the greatness in them.
Right.
This beautiful template, and that's my greatest gift. I can't think of anything greater than I could have.
Oh,
So,
wonderful. Well, thank you so much. We're going to have to wrap up, even though we don't know how long we've really been on. But
it's all at once, right?
I have to edit this for sure. But anyway, for those of you that are seeing the edited version, we had a energy blast that knocked my computer out, totally black screen. So anyway, but Shirley's available at poet444@gmail.com. You can also find her on Facebook at Shirley Bolstok. And eventually, pretty soon, she'll have a website that you'll be able to follow her. As she said, she's spoken at the Star Knowledge conferences. She's taught classes. I bought a pre-recorded class that she did in Denver on anti-aging. And it's quite amazing. And she works really well with other people. The anti-aging class that I bought, it was with a partner.
That was with Sue Russo, yeah.
Yeah. So this work is she doesn't have an egoic sense with it. It's a co-creation. Let's put it that way, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So thank you so much, and I can't wait. I want to learn a lot more. I definitely want my reading. So I hope others. I mean, Matthew Bailey was on. Matthew James Bailey, and he's internationally known. He's from England. He's living
wonderful.
now, and he's internationally known for AI, smart cities, brilliant.
How fantastic. What an honor.
He channels Saint Germain and works with Atlantis. So so hopefully he'll check in too with you.
I would love that. That would be wonderful. Okay.
Yeah. So thank you all, everyone that's been here, and Shirley, thank you again. And I hope this brings you a lot of clients, and just appreciate this work. It's so different and so fast. I mean, there's no reason to suffer anymore. There's just suffering is optional. How about
But
that?
I love that. And understand if you do feel you're suffering, then something's up in your face. You can look at the source, but just know it can be so much nicer when you could get to your divine source and find out what needs to be done and how to clear it. And there's so many with so many great gifts in this area. I mean, this is my niche, but like I said with Matthew, sounds like he has an incredible ministry himself, and as so many of us do, and it all folds into that same number one. It all does.
Right, right. And that delight of that expression,
Yeah.
the co-creative expression, which is why we're here.
Hmm.
And this is how you unleash your superpowers.
Yes.
If you
Yeah.
want to.
Yes. Just trying not to black out Facebook.
It's all right. But that was the first time that's ever happened to me, ever, ever, ever. So I'm not surprised, though. You're a magical being.
Thank you.
I'm not surprised. Okay, well, I'm gonna sign off. Thank you again, Shirley, and again, we'll connect soon. Thank you so much.
Thank
Okay.
you, Kathy. Yes.
Bye.